Well, I guess it's kind of a hard question to answer, really. Um, I don't know, I just feel like lately I've had, a ton of anxiety. Yeah, well, I mean, it's mostly that I never really feel good enough, or like I'm doing enough, or I don't know, I feel like I care more about other people than myself, or something like that. I don't know. It's difficult because I feel guilty admitting that, or even saying that I have a problem. Yeah, it doesn't feel comfortable because, I don't know, I feel like other people have much bigger problems, or mine are just always small by comparison, and so that makes me feel kind of just guilty for having any problems, and like I can't talk about them. I don't know, things I like: cake, mongooses, jokes, video games. Well, yeah. Okay.
Mega Man is a game series about a man who is mega, but he's not really a man, more of a robot, and also there's these other robots that are bad, and a guy named Dr. Wily who made them, and Santa Claus is your dad.
These are the obvious things that everybody knows about Mega Man, but the question I have is, why specifically is Mega Man so great?
I mean, of course, there's the obvious technical things, like great level design, satisfying action, appealing overall aesthetic, and Jesus Pancake Christ, the music.
But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is why it's so great emotionally. And I also want to talk about me, and how perhaps I'm not so great emotionally. And otherwise, but we'll get to that shit later. Let's just talk about Mega Man for right now. A primary thing that has always stuck out for me is Mega Man hurts. So much of the game is built on these incredibly frustrating little moments that, if you're encountering them for the first time, feel almost impossible.
Like, for example, all these fake floor holes, and all these disappearing platforms, and these tiny platforms you have to jump on, all the while dodging a dragon. I seriously only have these 3 little platforms to stand on.
The trouble is, I like having places to stand, and this game likes taking my places to stand away from me. Our relationship is clearly not without its issues, Mega Man.
But it's not just that I get put through, it's jumping guys, fire tigers, all these bitches with shields, fucking tubes,
etc. Goddamn, etc. I call these "it's just a game" moments because the way it makes me go always inevitably makes the person nearest to me come over and say, "Calm down, it's just a game," to which my only reply is, "I know. That's why I can't believe how much it's breaking me." The counter argument to be made here, of course, is that Mega Man breaks you because it loves you, and you love it. You get pissed off and beaten down by these obstacles, but in the end it just makes your triumph that much sweeter as a result. The game isn't designed for you to fail constantly, just long enough for you to more richly cherish your success. So it's all really just a matter of your own drive to succeed and putting forth the effort.
Not to make it sound simple, of course. Finding the necessary willpower within yourself can be especially trying in these games, because the road to success can be laborious, and is paved with many more of these screens than these screens.
But what becomes apparent the more you push forward is that things do get easier.
You memorize where the platforms appear, and you discover the dragon's weakness, and you freeze the fucking tubes, And you start to realize that you can definitely do this.
Not only that, but you and Mega Man were made for this.
Case in point being the weapons you get from each robot master you defeat, which help you get past specific challenges later in the game. This aspect of the game provides you with practical badges of completion. Each weapon marks your success in the face of previous enemies, but also tangibly improves you and hastens your progress. You get addicted to that self-affirming feeling of success after each victory, and I think it's that marks it not just a game, but a metaphor for achievement itself. Because the joy of Mega Man truly comes from having endured what it threw at you, and those long strolls through the wilderness feel so much more rewarding and meaningful as a result.
Andy Griffith. It's what I've wanted to do with my whole life. Be a comedian. As far back as I can remember, really. It's exactly the same. Yep. So I know that everything I just said about Mega Man could well be said about most, if not all, other video games, but Mega Man is different to me. I have a theory, and I don't claim it's an original or an interesting one or anything like that, but I've believed for a while that the art and media you choose to consume is dictated by what you need in your life in general and at the time you consume them. So the specific movies, music, and video games that are so important and affecting to you are so because they correlate to this spiritual hole you have deep within yourself. That being said,
as far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a comedian. It's very likely I had the thought not long after shitting a pair of diapers. Specifically, I remember listening to Andy Griffith's What It Was Football monologue with all of my family and watching all of them laugh. And that was the first time I thought to myself, I want to be a comedian when I grow up. Throughout my childhood, I alternated between this and ninja when it came to prospective careers. However, it was cemented as the only possible choice for me on the day I graduated middle school, when my dad took me to see a Kids in the Hall show. It was the first time I'd ever seen live comedy, and I was completely mystified. It was as if I'd just seen wizards cast giggle magic on an entire room filled with 1,000 people. And being so close to it all made it seem so simple, and so attainable. It really felt like my destiny to become a wizard of giggles had been prescribed to me that day, and my desire to become a ninja, psychologist, or professional eater of cakes, or whatever else I had wanted to be had faded. It was that life-changing moment when this dream of mine changed from a child's idle fantasy to an adult's life ambition.
But that ambition has led me down a path that, to be perfectly honest, hurts, and has been filled with these incredibly frustrating memories that only serve to make my goals seem that much more impossible when I think of them.
Like, for instance, one of the first times I tried doing stand-up, and I had thought I could just write the premises of the jokes on my hand and improvise the rest. This idea proved very false, however, when I announced to the audience, "So my goldfish died recently," and watched in horror as all of the audience got sad. And the sight of all their sad faces staring back at me saying, "We are sad now. Why did you make my face sad?" made me completely forget what the rest of the goldfish death joke was and panic. I thought I would be able to defeat the flying mecha dragon that was the audience with only 2 or 3 jokes, but I couldn't. When I started fumbling or when the jokes weren't working, it felt like having the platform disappear from under me. It felt like I couldn't be funny at a time in my life when being funny felt like all I had to stand on. And this was especially frustrating because, as I have said before,
I like having places to stand.
Nevertheless, I found it in me to try again, confident that things could be different. But this time, I got kicked out of a coffee shop for simply trying to perform stand-up at one of their songwriters' nights. You see, I had thought it was just called Songwriters' Night to make it sound more important than an open mic night. But the man who had started yelling, "It's not comedy night," at me apparently felt otherwise. There I was, just trying to make a group of people pay attention and laugh at me for 10 minutes, and there he was, effectively dashing my hopes and dreams swiftly and without remorse, like a living, breathing, evil tube. I can't, you know what? It's the fucking tubes. I'm telling you, it's the tubes. He's the tubes, it's all the tubes, just right when you think you figured it out.
2! Like I said, the thing about these memories is that they're painful, and they're with me every time I try and get somewhere with this dream. Every time I have an idea for a comedy sketch, every time I sit down to try and write a stand-up routine, hell, every time I go out of my way to make a group of people laugh and it falls flat, I feel exactly how I felt in these memories. Frustrated, defeated, and just pretty down on myself. And that makes it extra hard to find the willpower to get somewhere, even if all I want more than anything else is to get somewhere. Right. Well, because I have to. Yeah, I don't know, I feel like it's been with me so long it would be just too painful to just give up on it, and I don't know, I feel like I also have to kind of prove to myself that it's possible. Yeah, I guess it does make it seem more difficult and impossible, but I guess that itself makes me want it more. Yeah. When I came home from that Kids in the Hall show I attended at 15, I craved achievement. I felt so close to my dream that it felt almost real already. And you know what? I spent the majority of that summer playing through Mega Man 1 through 3 almost entirely without pause. That's what I mean by the art that is meaningful to us being the art that fills a hole in our lives. I couldn't become a comedian over the summer at 15, but I could fight, struggle, and crawl my way through 3 Mega Man games through frustration and anger with no cheats or exploits. That to me is why Mega Man is so great. Because it's Mega Man that showed me that I can be at peace with my failures through knowing that it's all part of the process. And it showed me that even though it's gonna hurt sometimes, that pain is just going to make the success feel all the more glorious. That makes me less scared. That makes me less full of self-loathing. That makes me see how I can move on and forgive myself for all those past failures. Because I know that if I can memorize the pattern that platforms disappear in or freeze evil fucking death tubes, that I can also go on to write better stand-up material than a joke about like goldfish dying, or find a coffee shop that won't kick me out for being a dirty comedian type. And I also know that when I do succeed, I'll be better equipped for the next step of the process. Because just as Mega Man was designed to stop the evil desires of Dr. Wily, I think to some extent, we're all designed to accomplish what we want to accomplish, because what appeals to us is things we see ourselves as good at. And just as we get addicted to that feeling of self-affirmation we get through success in Mega Man, we also have our life goals to provide us the necessary drive and willpower that's sometimes hard to find within ourselves. Like I said, to me, Mega Man is metaphor for achievement itself. Not only was Mega Man there for me as a kid to be a placeholder for comedy success, today, it teaches me a valuable lesson about how to achieve real success. But also, it's one of the things that makes me feel alright about me. Thanks, Mega Man.